What's up, y'all? It's your boy, it's your friend, Ras Tien here in the building. I hope you all have had a beautiful weekend. I know I have so far. For all of my people back home in the US, happy late Easter. Now, I'm just gonna get right into the topic. Uh, for today, what I wanna talk about is Stop Black Hate 2, right? Now, that's the title of the video. And what I mean by that is we need to address the Asian community on the hatred that they have towards Black people. Now, we know all of this is going on in the West, where you see there are random Asian people who are being attacked, and it's all because of the coronavirus, right? They feel, a lot of people feel because China is responsible for it, that, you know, all Asians are also responsible for it. And they're harming people that's not even from China, right? Now, with that being said, I do not advocate violence onto anyone. And nor do I want to see anyone get hurt or retaliate, right? I want there to be a more peaceful solution, right? But if we are to address the Asian attacks, right, or the attacks on Asian people, then we must first ask the Asian community to address the hatred in their community that they have towards each other and to Black people. Because these Asian attacks are supposed to be race motivated, right? So with that being said, what about the hatred that you guys have for each other? Asian people, you guys have to be very honest with yourselves. For centuries, you've been saying that, oh, well, you know, Asian people, we don't like dark skin because we look at them as being, usually if you were in ancient times, a fair-skinned person was considered wealthy, and the person who was darker skinned was the one who worked out in the fields, who was considered dirty, uneducated, uncivilized, right? And we've had to accept this for centuries. Even when it came to Black people, you looked at us the same way, and you looked at us as criminals and idiots. And there was always an excuse for it. There was always an excuse, and we had to accept that. And because, and a lot of you might say that's culture, and it's been going on since ancient times, but that's what makes it problematic. Because it's been going on for so long and it's been normalized, it's been excused, right? That's what makes it bad. Because you're judging people based off of their skin tone. And let's just be very honest, Asian people. I mean, you guys and us, we have never had a good relation. I mean, even when you go back to ancient Africa with the West Asians, the Arabs and the Berbers, I mean, those guys came around and we thought that, you know, there was camaraderie between us, but the West Asians ended up enslaving the Africans. And you know, the messed up part about it is, some of you will say that we deserve what happened to us. You say we deserve slavery because we're bad people. At least, you know, at least this is what I've heard from people of mainland China, right? But if that is the case, does mainland China, did they deserve what happened to them when the Japanese came along and enslaved them and murdered them. Now, with that being said, let's get back to the main topic about hating Black people. I'm a Black person in Asia, and I can tell you, I faced a lot of discrimination, especially when it came to a job. I mean, there are a lot of people in Asia who strongly have a hate for Black people, and it always bothered me because when I look at it historically, it was always other Asian people and white people that did more harm to you than anyone else. I've never seen any African nation came and colonized you and forced you to speak an African language and forced their religion onto you. And if you don't believe me about how deep the hatred is, listen to some of these people and hear what they say.
We Asian Americans have weaponized our proximity to whiteness in order to murder Black people. George Floyd and Latasha Harlins should be here today, but they aren't because of our individual actions and our collective inaction. We can't just blame white people for pitting us against each other either, because the fact of the matter is that Asian cultures have a huge colorism problem and a huge problem with Black people.
改变只需一颗俏皮洗衣溶珠，俏皮全国招商热线400-800-5086。
laundry detergent ad in China where they put a black man into a washing machine and then he came out a really, really pale Asian man. Like, that basically means that you hate Black people and you think they're ugly and you think their existence is wrong. Some of y'all are probably gonna argue with me saying, you're just in a homogenous country, they just don't have Black people over there, you should give them some slack, they just don't know how to act. Okay, interesting argument. So why is it that there's no white people in Asian countries, but when white people go over to Asian countries, they're flocked by Asian people and treated like God's gift to man? And why was it in China in the 1980s that when African people started studying at Chinese universities, they got bricks thrown at them, they were victims of violence and racial slurs, and Chinese men started becoming really genetically protective, saying that if they saw a Black man with a Chinese woman, they would beat both of them up and the Chinese woman would be cursed forever. But when a Chinese woman was with a white man, it was all okay. And why was it in India when Africans started studying in Indian universities that they were known as prostitutes and cannibals and they were victims of mob violence and murder? Make it make sense. Like, they've been to those countries and y'all treated them like shit.
Now, some of you might say, oh, well, Ras, they're not used to Black people. See, you have Asian people that they're just not used to Black skin. They get surprised when they see a Black person walking down the street. You're exotic. Okay, but what about the Black people who are living with Asian people in the West? What about Asian Americans and Black Americans? Because the hatred is still there. And you guys have been living with us for years. I mean, Asian people have been coexisting with Black people in America for, as you know, chronologically speaking, for as long as white people. If we're speaking about Native American Indians, of course, and yes, Native American Indians also had Black people as slaves, as well as East Indians did. But that's a topic for another time. Because let's just look at it. You guys have always went out of your way to try to distance yourself from us. You've never looked at us as brothers. You've never, ever tried to get close to us. And the relationship has never improved. Let's just look at it. I remember when I was on Instagram last week, and I was on China Mac's page where, China Mac has, for those of you who don't know China Mac, he's a Chinese American rapper, and he's an advocate for the Stop Asian Hate movement, right? And there was this girl on here who was Asian. She, me and her, we didn't have we didn't have bad words against each other, but we were just discussing some things about the relationship between Blacks and Asians, right? And one of the things she said was, we're more alike than you think. And I said, well, if we're really more alike, why don't you Asian people share your resources with us? Why don't you live in neighborhoods amongst us in harmony? Will you allow us to marry into your families? Now, when I asked that question, I didn't get no response back. And that's because she knows there is no camaraderie, there is no brotherhood between Blacks and Asians. Now, just because I'm saying all this doesn't mean I don't want to see brotherhood between us. Of course I do. I mean, for crying out loud, I do have Asian people in my family. I have a half Asian daughter. I have Asian in-laws. But we have to be very honest that even in America, the hatred that Asian people have for Black people is and has always been there. Because when I look around, none of you guys have ever spoken out against Black people who are getting beat up in Asian nail salons. None of you spoke out against that Korean lady who killed Latasha Harlings in LA during the 1990s. None of you guys spoke out against that Vietnamese cop who sat up there and protected that cop who murdered George Floyd. None of you guys spoke out against Peter Leung, who killed that Black dude in New York. None of you came out and talked about how shocked or appalled you were for doing this against your fellow brother. So my thing is, let's just look at it here. If you want us to acknowledge the hatred that has been displayed onto you, you first have to check yourself, because it starts at home. It starts with you. You all need to get together and discuss the internal conflicts that you have within your own community, along with the conflict that you have with Black people. You all need to get together. It's good that you have some young Asian people speaking out and being honest about the real situation between how Blacks and Asians, and about how Asians really feel about Blacks. But we have to be very honest. You guys need to all get together as a whole and discuss your problems. Like, what is it? What is the real issue that we have with Black people? What did Black people ever do to us? Let's just take away the factor about what we see about Black folks on TV. What have Black folks done to us historically, other than help us? Because as far as I know, growing up in the Black community, I've seen a lot of Asian people prosper economically off of Black wealth. I've seen you prosper a lot. We've put so many people, such as Korean people, Arab people, through college, spending money with these people who say that they hate us, sit up there and throw money at us, talk bad about us in our own language, and will even shoot us in the back over a bag of chips. So I ask you, where's the camaraderie? This is something you guys need to talk about. You guys need to all get together as a whole and discuss what is your issues. What is your issues with Black people? Because if you can't do that, then there's no way you should expect someone to acknowledge the issue that America has with you.
What's the issue?
What's up?
Why are you coming over here?
I just want to see what you guys are taking pictures of.
Why is it your business?
Well, you know what? This is my home.
Okay, mine too. Why are you taking pictures
Where
of
do
me?
you live?
I live in Scottsdale. Why are you taking pictures of me?
Michigan plates?
Yeah, why are you taking pictures of me?
Well, you know what? We've had problems here.
I don't care. You don't know me. Why are you taking pictures of me? And I don't know you. Do you know a lot of white men are doing racist things in this world, sir?
No.
You don't know that? You're not aware
I'm
of
a
that?
racist.
You are a racist.
I'm a racist.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay? So
What's
the
your
issue?
point? Why are you here?
Because this is a no zone.
Not really.
Oh, is it?
Not really, sir.
Tell me.
There's not a not, so I'm here. And what
But
I'm
you
about
don't
to
live
do,
here.
what I'm
But
about
you
to
don't
do,
live here.
I do. I stay here. What I'm about to do,
Yeah.
me and my friend, we about to record our videos,
Okay.
and you not gonna do a thing about it. Y'all hear me?
That's fine. I'll
not
tell you
gonna
what.
do
What do you
a
want to hear?
thing.
And I'll tell you something. As a Black person in Asia, I've been living here for 6 years, and I faced a lot of discrimination and a lot of, especially in China, I faced a lot of unnecessary racism, some that's even too painful to even talk about. And if I complain about it on the internet, some people will tell me, and have actually told me, that I need to go back where I came from. But yet, with the stuff that's going on with Asian people right now in America, if I tell them that as an American, that if you don't like it, pack up, they'll make that seem like I'm being racist. Even though they can tell me the same thing, and I'm just supposed to accept it. Now, I don't approve of what's been going on with innocent people getting beat up, especially old Asian people. You know, that's very disgraceful to see that happen. And I remember when I did a video about those Asian women that got killed in Atlanta. Originally, I thought that was a hate crime, but it really wasn't, because I just recently found out that not all those victims were Asian. One of them was white, and another one was Hispanic. So it wasn't really racially motivated like I thought. But since we're talking about murder and attacks, let's talk about, for 9 years, how Black people have been getting killed with impunity. And our so-called Asians, our so-called Asian brothers and sisters, y'all didn't stand with us and say, hey, this is messed up, what's going on. We need to protect our Black brothers and sisters. But you know what I have seen? I've seen Black people say this about everybody else. I've seen Black people get beat up and get taken to jail on behalf of advocating for someone else's rights. But when it comes to Black folks, all of a sudden, hey, it's the Negro's problem. Let them deal with it. So, you know, I just don't really think it's fair that you guys will ask us to help you face this problem dealing with racism, which I don't know how, when you've sat up there for years and watched us get killed in impunity and you never try to find a way how to help us. I don't give a damn about a march. Marching doesn't do a damn thing. It'll do nothing but wear out the soles of your shoes. That's just a symbolic gesture. But I'm talking about actually doing something tangible. Like sharing resources or helping to get laws changed. Using your money to help us. Because we've helped you countless times. And how do you repay us? You tell us things like, go back to Africa. You tell us that we're not supposed to be here, even though we built America. You and other people like you are only here in America because of our blood, sweat, and tears. The sacrifice that my ancestors made, getting dogs sicked on them and fire hoses blasted on them so that you and other people like you, including Black people from the Caribbeans and from Africa, to come abroad here and integrate so you can have that American dream that you ever so wanted. And we've done a lot. We've done a lot for America, more than any other group. Okay? Even when it came to the railroads, Black people, my ancestors, the slaves, we actually laid down those tracks. All the Chinese did was just help extend it to the West. Because if you built those train tracks like you say you did, then you would have had those same train tracks in China. You didn't have them in China because you didn't even have trains in China. America wasn't built by dreamers. It was built off of the blood, sweat, tears, and unpaid manual labor of the Black man and woman of North America, my ancestors. Okay? And that's something you should be grateful for. You should be saying, thank you, Black man, for making these opportunities possible for us. Now, let's get back into the internal conflict you have amongst each other. Now, like I said earlier, you guys have this thing where you have now made it culture for everything. Everything is culture. It's even culture to hate yourselves, to hate your own brother for having dark skin, something that he had no control over, something that he didn't even ask for. He didn't even ask to be born. But you look at, but you look down on each other. You want to talk about, just like China. China wants to sit up there and talk about how racist America is. But look at how China is throwing Black people out of their apartments. During the coronavirus, they threw Black people out their apartments who are African. Look at how Korea treated Black people, no matter where they was from, when Ebola came out. They ain't want Black people in no businesses. China wants to spread propaganda about how racist America is, but yet people like Xi Jinping sends his daughter to a place like America, but he ain't sent his daughter to any top universities in China, him and other people like him, buying up land in the US and in Canada. But then we'll talk down towards people from the West, foreigners that actually helped them get the Japanese off their behind and gave them so much financial aid. Let's look at how many refugees America has taken in. How many charities America has had that has given to people who are less fortunate in different countries. We've taken in so many people from different countries who are refugees and gave them green cards. Has Japan done that? Has China done that? Has Korea done that? Has Taiwan done that? I'll wait. You guys want to sit up there and talk about culture, about how, well, it's just culture, Asian people, they just favor fair skin because it associates with wealth. Okay. So if it's culture for you to have hatred towards your fellow brother, then accept Americans' racism as culture against you. Accept America and the white man for being racist, because that's just culture. You shouldn't complain about it. Because if you don't have no respect for yourself, no one else is going to have respect for you. And if you don't want to address an issue that has been plaguing your community for centuries, then there's no way you can tackle this issue right now when you won't even acknowledge the hatred that you have towards Black people and towards other Asians that are darker skinned. Because I notice you guys are all brothers when it comes to you dealing with someone that's non-Asian. Let's just look at the hatred that you have towards each other, if you don't believe what I'm saying.
China, you killer, butcher and all, Mujindao. You're all killer. Free Tibet.
The people are dying in Tibet. Why UNO and those are ignoring the Tibetan cause? Can't you feel the pain of Tibetan people?
Stop it!
China, China, China!
Out, out, out!
China, China, China!
Out, out, out! China!
Now, mind you, those images that I just showed you, the first image was basically of It showed a picture of a man. He was one of the Tibetans that was assaulted by the Chinese police in Dongzhi border. And then the other image was where Chinese gangsters attacked these poor Tibetan people. Now, we've seen to whereas, you know, how cruel Asians can be to each other. And we've also seen how you'll even justify your hatred towards not only Black people, but, you know, to each other as well through means of philosophy.
Saying, yeah, why are they treating black people so badly? Well, the answer's here, my dear. Back in the 1920s, two important Chinese reformers named Liang Qicao and Kang Youwei said that white people and yellow people are more superior than anybody else in the world. And they said that darker races were doomed to extinction because of hereditary defects, and that they were lazy, stupid, and incapable of progress. So, white is right, huh?
And there you have it. So you guys have a lot of issues that you need to work out, Asian community, because it's like I said before, America has given more help to the less fortunate and the needy than you. See, you look down on the less fortunate. We help the less fortunate. China wants to sit up there and talk about how racist America is to Black people, but neither you nor any of these other countries here in Asia have ever offered Black people the chance to seek refuge in any of your countries. You don't even want us there. You don't want us here. I've never heard any of you say, hey, Black man, since the white man is treating you so bad, come on over here. All you gotta do is learn our language, and you know, we'll make sure we'll provide you with jobs, and you can get the same rights as a born citizen. You'll never give that to us. But guess what? America will. America will sit up there and take in anybody and give them the same rights as an American citizen. You can get a green card and you'll get treated like an American. All you other countries don't do that. So if we want to talk about stop Asian hate, let's start with at home, like I said earlier. Start with you. Let's eradicate the racism within your own community, okay? Let's eradicate racism with Black people. Because remember something. Remember something. In order to get respect, you got to first respect yourself. And if you don't respect your fellow Asian brother on a daily basis, you can't expect someone else to. I mean, let's just cut the bullshit. The only reason you guys really give a damn about each other and you're grouping yourselves together as one now is because you're all getting attacked and treated the same because of the coronavirus. But put you back in your respective countries where your parents and grandparents came from, you wouldn't give a fuck about each other. Even if the attacks weren't going on, you would still not love each other. I have Vietnamese friends who talk about how much they don't like Filipinos. And these are American Vietnamese I'm talking about. Let's just be real. You guys don't like each other. Chinese don't like Japanese, and vice versa. Koreans, they hate Japanese. Koreans are also, no disrespect to Koreans, but Koreans can also be very stuck up. They talk about how they're better than everyone else. China talks about how they're superior to everyone else. Okay? Indians and Pakistanis, they don't get along, even though they're both ethnically the same. Vietnamese and Chinese, even though they're ethnically the same, they don't get along, especially if you go to South Vietnam, they hate the Chinese. And damn near everybody hates Filipinos. Filipinos are like the Mexicans and the Blacks of Asia. So come on now, let's not pretend like you guys don't have a problem. I mean, listen. You guys really, you care more about saving face than you do acknowledging the truth of something. And that hasn't been helping you. It's really been making things worse. And centuries later, now up to the present, we're still dealing with the same foolishness that your ancestors refused to deal with because it was too much of a taboo topic. And if we got to accept that as culture, like I said earlier, accept what's happening to you right now in America as culture. Just accept this is American culture. Look, that's all the time I have for today. Look, y'all, this is your boy Ras Tien signing out. But look, before I sign out, share this video, like, subscribe, make a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, okay? And remember, in order to stop Asian hate, first, Asians got to stop Black hate. Okay? So that's going to be the hashtag for today. Stop Black hate too. Power to the people. Love, peace, and coconut grease.
I was just really driven to talk about a lot of what was happening in the Asian American community. I think anti-Blackness is something that's really deeply rooted in my community and in a lot of Chinese American communities. But it's also a subject that's very taboo. So a lot of people tend not to talk about it, or nobody likes to talk about how they've hurt other communities or their own flaws. So it's really not a conversation that really happens anywhere. But I thought it was very important because I had this chance to publish on a platform like WeChat, which is really accessible for a lot of Chinese Americans, particularly people who don't have English as their first language or who speak Mandarin.
You wrote that it was the work of Black Americans that paved the way for a better life for Asians and marginalized communities. Can you explain just a little bit more on that?
What a lot of Asian Americans don't understand is that, or especially immigrants who came to the US after this 1965 Immigration Act was passed, a lot of people don't really have an understanding of how much the civil rights movement contributed to our privileges or our, sustainability as Asian Americans. People don't realize that it was actually Black Americans who pushed for a lot of desegregation policies, and it was Black Americans who inspired Asian American activists to even come up with the term Asian American. So without, the work of Black leaders and Black organizers and Black activists, I think we'd be in a very different place in American society today. And that's something I really hope people can internalize more, can understand more.